Everyone, and welcome to Bonnie Astrology. Today I'm going to be discussing the total lunar eclipse in Virgo happening on the 3rd of March 2026, and of course what it means for your zodiac sign. As always, if you do enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know that you like it, and consider subscribing to the channel for regular astrology content and horoscopes from me. And if you want to follow me on any of my socials, they are listed in the description box below, alongside my website, which is where you can book astrological services with me. So we are well and truly in eclipse season. This is a very fated time. It's a time where we notice big events happen on the world stage and big events happen in our own lives. And with eclipse season, you are either a main character or you are a supporting character. Big things are happening in your life, or you are watching people around you experience big things in theirs. It depends very much on how it is affecting your birth chart. So if you have any natal placements or angles at 11, 12, or 13 degrees of Virgo, this eclipse is going to make you a main character, but it is absolutely emphasizing your Virgo house, which I'll get into in the horoscopes. Other notable placements that may be impacted by this eclipse: 11, 12, 13 degrees of Pisces, Sagittarius, or Gemini. These are the signs and placements most affected by this eclipse. It's certainly going to be a significant turning point in your life. And you may find that around this eclipse, things happen that cannot be undone. It is a total lunar eclipse, bringing absolute change and transformation. So here we have the chart for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. Don't worry too much about the time. This is for the UK and Ireland. It'll be different depending on where you are, so it will have a different ascendant. So don't worry about this too much. We're looking mainly at the actual lunar eclipse in Virgo and the aspects that it's making. So firstly, this is a total lunar eclipse. And total lunar eclipses are points in our lives where we notice that we're closing out an old cycle. Something is coming to a close or something is coming to its peak in order to be transformed. Total lunar eclipses, especially because of the totality, tend to bring significant change. They tend to bring bigger events. They tend to bring bigger endings, bigger transformations. They bring things to the surface that we were not aware of. And this is a South Node eclipse. So when we have a South Node eclipse, it tends to bring up something linked to the past or something rooted in past behaviors, something that needs to be purified, especially in Virgo, something that needs to be released. So there can be a lot of things end at this time that are toxic. Virgo is the sign of health. So this can be where you finally decide enough is enough. I'm going to give up this particular habit. With the Virgo influence, it's usually something that we're ingesting. So a lot of people you might notice around the time of this eclipse, they give up drinking, they give up smoking. They give up something that they're taking in, whether it's food, whether it's a drink, whether it is um, I think the one that gets used a lot lately is social media, especially because we have Mercury retrograde here in Pisces. There's some sort of a cleanse pertaining to whatever it is that you're doing too much of. Whatever unhealthy coping mechanism you have, it's likely to come up to be released. And it's most likely for the better here, especially because this eclipse is in a lovely sextile to an exalted Jupiter. So if you've been reflecting on what it is that you need to give up, if you have realizations around the time of this lunar eclipse that you need to give up something for your health, or if you need to give up a particular habit, or a way of working, or a particular job, or a particular role in your life, this eclipse will be the time to release it and let it go. Total lunar eclipses and the South Node can bring a little bit of a purge, and you may notice that emotionally speaking, you're releasing a lot of past emotions. A lot of feelings from the past are coming up to be purged because they are no longer healthy. And what you suppress emotionally, especially with the lunar eclipse in Virgo, can make you unwell. So there is a sense with this lunar eclipse, especially for those who have a first house or sixth house in Virgo, or prominent Virgo placements that would be permanent, of course. Prominent Virgo placements, there can be a sense of, okay, I need to change this because this is making me ill, either physically or emotionally, mentally. The need to release something that is no longer healthy in your life. You can also notice that in your job, there's a lot of comings and goings, people leaving the picture, people leaving your job, people that you maybe thought would never leave that job. They are leaving, they are releasing that role. With a lunar eclipse in Virgo, maybe this pertains to job cuts generally. There can be significant changes in the workplace of people who are, for whatever reason, exiting. And if they are exiting under this lunar eclipse, there's a sense of permanency here, permanent changes in work. And a lot of people can be leaving voluntarily because they feel the job that they are doing or the role that they are playing or the service that they are providing is no longer fulfilling. They're no longer aligned with it spiritually. You'll notice that a lot of people have changed their boundaries of what they will and will not tolerate thanks to the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So the lunar eclipse in Virgo, it can certainly bring up matters about health, either in your own life or on a world stage. I know that there are a lot of things coming out online about the National Health Service. If you look back in previous videos, I mentioned that the eclipses in Virgo can bring up issues surrounding health service and organizations pertaining to health service. This can be a time where there is also perhaps big changes coming back in terms of cures, preventions, medicines, that type of thing with Virgo. It certainly illuminates health on the world axis. And with the lunar eclipse in Virgo, it can be a time where a lot of people, maybe you notice in your own life, are receiving some kind of diagnosis or going through some sort of health change, transformation, or even a crisis for some people. Aside from work and health, a full moon total lunar eclipse in Virgo can also illuminate matters pertaining to pets and animals. And I know that a lot of us are very invested in the life of Punchy the monkey in Japan, who was abandoned by his mother and has a stuffed orangutan. The whole world is watching this little monkey and how his life is playing out. It's very in line with a lunar eclipse in Virgo. And actually, if you're interested in the astrology of the little monkey, he is a double Leo. He's a Leo sun and moon. And of course, we have eclipses starting in Aquarius and Leo, bringing Leo energy and Aquarian energy to the world stage. So this little monkey, his his birth chart is illuminating his fame as well. Not that he knows about it, but we are very invested in the life of this little monkey. And, good news pertaining to animals around the time of this lunar eclipse, pandas are no longer at threat of extinction. And in Italy, they have banned wild animals from the circus, from being put into the circus, and instead they're being put into sanctuaries now, which is very positive news. So we can see positive events come up with this lunar eclipse pertaining to animals. So on the world stage, to summarize, this eclipse is bringing up matters pertaining to health, pertaining to wellness, pertaining to work and services, but also pertaining to animals with Virgo energy. We can certainly see that these themes are very much highlighted on our news. In fact, that's one way that you tend to notice eclipse energy is that the themes of that sign do come up more prominently on the world stage. And we have a lot happening on the world stage at the moment with Neptune and Saturn up here in the early degrees of Aries. So we can see that there are a lot of changes coming up with this one. Now, the thing about this eclipse that is a little bit tricky and a little bit hard to pin down is that the dispositor Mercury is up here in Pisces and Mercury is in retrograde. So sometimes with retrograde energy, especially as the dispositor of eclipse, this can be about revisiting matters pertaining to health, pertaining to medicine, pertaining to health systems. It can come up that we need to make changes because of communication issues, communication errors, sometimes mistakes being made, or how we see changes occur. And sometimes, unfortunately, we do see this with eclipses, but things have to reach a crisis point before we actually make the changes necessary. Sometimes things reach their peak before we do make those changes rather than preempting what needs to change first. Eclipses often highlight where we have maybe let it go on a bit too long. The changes are long overdue. With Mercury retrograde as well, sometimes we have to look back to move forward, especially because this is a South Node eclipse. So a lunar eclipse with the South Node, but also Mercury being in retrograde, it can certainly bring up past events, past people, past experiences, whether that is that you are with Mercury in Pisces dreaming of a lot of people from the past, whether you're hearing from people from the past, you're dreaming of experiences from the past, old memories are surfacing with so much in Pisces. Do pay attention to your dreams because they're probably revealing quite a lot to you at this time. With Pisces energy, they can be premonitions or they can be showing you what needs to be resolved within your subconscious. Pisces rules the subconscious, so your dreams are very revealing about what's going on with you, about what needs to be processed. As I say, with lunar eclipse, they can bring up emotions that need to be purged and need to be released so that we can go into a new chapter. And we do have so much energy focusing on new at the moment. We've just entered the Lunar New Year. We've had the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries within the first degree. We have began a new series of eclipses with that solar eclipse in Aquarius back on the 17th of February. So we are stepping into the new, very much so, but it is also about releasing and purging the past so that we can get there. There may be things that need to be released in order to move forward. I do feel with the sextile to Jupiter that a lot of these changes that are coming up and transformations are positive. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Jupiter will actually be going direct. So this degree of Cancer is very important. If you have any placements at 14, 15, 16 degrees of Cancer, this eclipse is very important for you. This time is very important for you because Jupiter will be stationing at that degree. Jupiter wants to bring growth, it wants to bring expansion because Jupiter has been retrograde. It has been putting that growth and expansion, it's been bringing an internal focus to that growth and expansion. You've been looking inward. What do you want to grow? What do you want to change? How can you change within so that you can allow, receive more growth and abundance on the outside? What needs to change internally? This eclipse might help you release what you need to change, what you need to let go of in order to experience more growth. So we'll be feeling the effects of Jupiter at 15 degrees of Cancer for most of the month in March. If you do have personal placements there, pay attention. The same goes for Capricorn and Aries and Libra, 14, 15, 16 degrees of the cardinals. You'll be experiencing Jupiter energy this month that is possibly facilitating you to release in order to grow. So this eclipse is certainly bringing up significant energy to be released or to be transformed. Eclipses, total lunar eclipses can bring up significant transformations, especially in your Virgo house, which you may actually be very pleased about. Maybe there has been with the South Node this consistent clearing away in the Virgo house, and you're waiting for something serendipitous, something fated, something meaningful to occur. And with the sextile to Jupiter, you start to see the changes that you want to see. Maybe you've been waiting for changes in this house and you feel as though nothing's happening there with Virgo energy. Maybe you feel as though that it has been slow or there hasn't been much going on. This eclipse can absolutely trigger some sort of fated event that feels quite positive. I will say there is an energy of looking backward with this eclipse. I'm conscious of Mercury retrograde up here. This eclipse can be time to revisit old conversations. Conversations from the past can come up, as I say, talking to people you've maybe not seen in a while or heard from in a while. You can be reflecting on your communication style as well with Mercury retrograde being the dispositor of this eclipse, but it can certainly bring up matters from the past, matters that need to be cleared, matters that need to be transformed. So pay attention to the conversations and communications you're having at the time of this eclipse because they can be very meaningful. And with Mercury being in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, it's more about intuition than logic. I know that Virgo is a very logical sign, but Mercury being retrograde in Pisces, follow your intuition, reflect more on your conversations, reflect more on your communications, look beneath the surface. A lot of people could certainly be experiencing conversations and communications around this time where they think, I can't make sense of this. I'm going to ask my tarot cards. I'm going to look up my horoscope. I'm going to meditate on this. I'm going to journal on this. That this dream was so profound. I need to write down what it means. I need to Google the meaning. There's a lot of esoteric value in the information that you get at this time, or a lot of esoteric guidance might come up with the information that you're having at this time, following your intuition, especially when it comes to your health, when it comes to your well-being. The meditation, the reflection that you're doing on that can be very valuable. So this eclipse is certainly about release. It's certainly about releasing old thought patterns, old ways of communicating, old communication styles, but it can certainly bring back people from the past. It can certainly bring up conversations about the past, dreams about the past, dreams about past people. And figuring out what it is that you need to prune in your life in order to facilitate more growth. Sometimes you need to let go of certain things for them to grow. You need to clear, especially in gardening, you need to prune in order for something to grow. And we can see that with this sextile to Jupiter in Cancer. This eclipse can bring about positive growth and momentum, and it can bring about positive changes. They don't have to be terribly frustrating. But with any eclipse season, I always say be mindful that people are oftentimes going through it. Big events happen in people's lives during eclipses, and it can be a time where you want to maybe reconnect with someone that you see is going through a tough time or a tough transition or a tough change, or it can be that you have important realizations that you need to make certain changes, that you need to make amends, that you need to maybe with Mercury retrograde in Pisces say sorry to someone or someone wants to say sorry to you. And that brings growth, it brings closeness, and it brings a positive change. These can be certain ways that these play out with, this absolute load of Pisces energy that we have going on at the time of this eclipse. And Virgo energy is a nice balance to this because Pisces energy is so sleepy, it's so tired, it makes us want to nap, it makes us want to retreat, it makes us want to meditate, contemplate, to escape the real world. And Virgo energy comes in and says, okay, we need to do something practical though. We need to take care of our health. We can sleep all we want to rest, but sometimes you need to go for a walk, for a run to the gym to use energy, to make energy. Or you have practical matters you need to attend to, even if you're super duper sleepy and tired, and you're getting all these spiritual and energetic downloads. Virgo energy bringing up health and wellness as well, because we have just had a solar eclipse in Aquarius, which is about groups and friends and teams. Maybe with this lunar eclipse in Virgo, you're getting together with people to work on your health, to work on your fitness, exercise, running clubs, gym buddies, uh, your fellow wellness warriors. This can be a great time to connect with people for bettering your health or, joining a group to help work with addiction or self-sabotaging behaviors and things like that as well. I'm going to pull a tarot card for this lunar eclipse in Virgo and see what we get. See if we have any additional messages. Let me know where it's happening in your chart or if it's happening on one of your placements. If it is happening on one of your placements and you're not in a place to consult an astrologer, if it's happening on your Mercury, for example, this is going to bring up matters of communication. It's going to bring up matters pertaining to the houses Mercury rules in your chart, but also vehicles, telephones, gadgets. These things can need a reset or a reboot around the time of the lunar eclipse. If it's on Venus, relationships, finances, that type of thing. So just think about the archetype of the planet or the angle for how the lunar eclipse might affect you. Oh, of course, we have the Hermit. Can you even see that? Yeah. The Hermit. I feel like I'm in Hermit green actually at the moment. The Hermit is Virgo's card in the tarot, so it's very cool that that flew out. The Hermit is representing Virgo energy. Sometimes with so much happening in Pisces, also looking inward, going within, meditating, contemplating, searching for the answers within yourself if it's harder to get the answers with this Virgo lunar eclipse. The Hermit is about solitude and going within to find these answers, to figure out what is going on within you. And this may be something that actually helps you heal. Um, I've noticed that a lot of Virgo people can choose hermit lifestyle. Not everybody, obviously, because it's a choice and it's free will and things like that. But a lot of Virgos do spend time alone because they're very in their head and they overthink. And with this lunar eclipse, sometimes it's not that overthinking will help. In fact, sometimes when we have total lunar eclipses, because the moon is all about emotion and we have so much in Pisces, sometimes you actually just have to feel the feeling. You're not going to find answers through picking up more and more and more information. You're actually probably going to find answers through sitting with yourself, allowing your body to speak to you, allowing your feelings to come up, meditating, sitting in silence, noticing where sensations and feelings come up in your body. And that can be a much more healing way to figure out what this lunar eclipse actually means for you. Mercury retrograde in Pisces, you're probably not going to get the answers through getting more and more and more and more information. You're actually going to get the answers through solitude, through meditation, through reflecting, through sitting with yourself and noticing what your body is trying to tell you. Say for example, Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Say you had a dream about somebody from the past and you have them on your mind the next day. If you were actually to just sit with that feeling and that emotion, it would and allow it to come to you, it would probably make more sense than Googling it all or talking and talking and talking, it would actually probably be the answers would probably be found within your body. You know, you have the answers within yourself. In fact, lunar eclipses, they cannot bring up information that isn't already out there. It's just concealed. And with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it may be concealed within your body as a feeling. So I would say with that hermit energy, it's not about going into complete isolation. It's not about becoming a hermit, but it is about sitting with the feelings that you're having and allowing yourself to reflect, allowing yourself to meditate and see what comes up because it can be incredibly insightful and it can absolutely help you grow. And maybe if you're, one of these people who is very into manifestation of there's something that you really want to manifest and you've noticed that it's not occurring or it's not happening, what you release during this eclipse can absolutely help it grow and manifest in the future. That is what I have for this total lunar eclipse. The timestamps are listed below for each of the horoscopes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. Aries, this eclipse is highlighting your sixth house. Now, the sixth house is how you take care of your physical body. This is about the foods that you eat, the diet plan that you follow, the exercise that you do, whatever things that you do physically to take care of yourself, your routines, what your schedule is. This falls within the sixth house. And when we have a total lunar eclipse here, that means that something can change quite substantially when it comes to how you're looking after yourself. So maybe this lunar eclipse coincides with some kind of health diagnosis for some of you. Maybe for others of you, it is to do with a mental health diagnosis because we have Mercury retrograde here in the 12th house. Mercury rules this eclipse and it's in your mental health sector. The 12th is how you take care of your mental health, your emotional health, and your soul. The 6th house is how you take care of your body. And they're both very connected. So for you, Aries, you could be receiving some sort of diagnosis. For some of you, that's not to scare you, but it could be that you're becoming aware of the connection between your emotions and your body. And that means that you may be changing how you take care of your body, but also reviewing with Mercury retrograde, because that's about review, how you take care of your emotional and mental health as well. A lot of you with Mercury retrograde in the 12th could be getting back into meditation or going back to therapy or analyzing your dreams. Maybe some of you are having repeating dreams or dreaming about people from the past or dreaming about events from the past, and you're realizing that something is unresolved, and maybe you're noticing it play out physically. Maybe it's manifesting as work addiction or overworking or over exercising or something like that, Aries. And with this total lunar eclipse, you're ready to change a habit, and you are noticing that whether it is that you're changing how you take care of your physical body or how you take care of your spiritual body, you're wanting to make some sort of absolute change. You're really wanting to change your routine, wellness practices, mental health practices. This is a really good time to just review, Aries, how you are taking care of yourself, especially because your ruler Mars at the time of the lunar eclipse, fresh into Pisces in your 12th house. That's about getting good rest, good sleep, taking time off, taking some downtime. And for some of you, it's so much in the 12th, you could be taking some time off work. You could be taking some time to rest, to recuperate in solitude. You could be going on a retreat. Some of you with a total lunar eclipse in the 6th as well, there could be job changes. You might be leaving a role. You might be returning to a role as well. You might be bringing back a service that you used to provide, going back to an old job, reconnecting with colleagues, reconnecting with co-workers. This is a South Node eclipse. It rules the past. Or you could be leaving these people behind, or you could notice people are leaving the workplace, people are leaving the job that you share. Maybe this is a colleague leaving, maybe it is an employee leaving, but you can notice substantial changes happening in your working environment with your routines. And of course, we do still have this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your first house in play, and the first house is about the physical body itself. So for a lot of you, you're becoming more conscious, especially because Saturn is practical, it's logical, it's material. Neptune is ethereal, it's spiritual, it's emotional. You're really noticing, Aries, that connection between mind, body, and soul for you. So maybe some of you are wanting to bring a little bit more spirituality or mental health care into your daily routine. Maybe some of you are wanting to get more work rest balance as well. That can be one way that this is playing out for you also.
but you're really getting that connection between your spiritual self and your physical self, Aries. And for some of you, yes, it can manifest as work changes, leaving a job, changing jobs, bringing back things that you used to do into your work. There's some element of the past here for sure with the South Node and Mercury retrograde. So, reconnecting with colleagues, going back to an old job, returning to an old job, deja vu, but also for some of you, leaving it behind, changing your routine, and changing the way that you take care of yourself. Let's get you a tarot card, Aries. We have the strength card. So maybe for some of you, this is to do with weightlifting. I always see the strength card come out when someone wants to get into the gym. Maybe for some of you, it's a change in diet. Maybe you're going vegetarian or vegan, or you've been vegan for a long time and now you're eating fish again, you're going pescatarian, whatever the case. I'm just giving examples. But the strength card sort of reminds me of choosing to bring more compassion into your routines and gain strength both emotionally and physically. So perhaps for you, that looks like meditating daily, journaling, seeing a therapist, but also moving your body in a way that feels supportive to you and something that you feel you want to commit to long term. I think for a lot of you with Mars going through the 12th house, you can sort of notice a little bit a diminishing of energy when your ruler goes through the 12th, needing some more rest and downtime. So don't be afraid, Aries, to take some time off if you need it. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. Taurus, this eclipse is happening in your fifth house. So, for those of you that have children, this eclipse could be bringing up matters surrounding your children. It could be bringing up important conversations about your children. For some of you, this could be a pregnancy, it could be a birth, it could be a substantial event happening in the lives of one of your children. And I feel with Mercury retrograde here in the 11th, there are maybe talks about the future. There's maybe talks about future plans being made, aspirations, goals. It can also involve a group of people. So if there is something coming up with your children, it feels like it's a bit future oriented. But with Mercury in retrograde in the future sector, this is about reflecting on the past in order to benefit in the future, if that makes sense. So there can be matters coming up surrounding your children. For some of you, as you say, pregnancies, births, but for others of you, it can just be that matters are coming to the fore with your children. This is a longer term storyline going back to the beginning of 2025, but also towards the end of 2024. So if there has been a storyline going on with your children, it can peak around this time as it is a total lunar eclipse, bringing very significant change. Now, for others of you, if it's not to do with children, the fifth house can be about your love life. So, if you're single, you may be reconnecting with someone from the past. Now, this might be someone that you've never been in a relationship with. You maybe were only ever friends, or you were part of the same team, or you were part of the same group. You may be reconnecting with someone and reviewing if there may be a romantic fit for you. You could be reconnecting with people that you used to date and reflecting on where could this go? Do we have the same vision? Do we want the same things for the future? The fifth house is also to do with creativity and passion and fun. So, with a South Node eclipse, sometimes we see people reconnect with things that they used to enjoy, things that they used to do for the love of it, leading with love, leading with a sense of happiness and joy. So, you could be reconnecting with something, Taurus, that you used to do that you really loved to do. This could be a passion project, an artistic project. Maybe you used to love going to concerts or you used to love going to the theater, but life got in the way and you don't do those things anymore. A lunar eclipse in the fifth house really says go out and have fun, go to the fun thing. The 11th house is so activated here. Go to the social gathering. You might reconnect with old friends. You might see people you haven't seen in a while that you were friendly with. You might network and meet people who can really help you. Even if you can't make formal plans with these people now, when you do reconnect with them, you can later, at late March, when Mercury is direct. But the North Node and the Sun and Venus are all here, and Mars up in your 11th house. So, Taurus, if you have invitations, do take them. Plans might get rearranged sometimes. There might need to be some rehashing of the details, but it looks like for a lot of you, there could be a party, there could be a gathering, there could be some sort of fun event that you can go to, and it's nostalgic. There's people from the past there, a lot of opportunities to socialize and have fun, Taurus. And don't forget, with the North Node here until the middle of the year. you're being encouraged to make friends, to join teams, to be part of a group, to connect with people. And Saturn's out of there as well. So you're going to be feeling a lot better about the friends that you have, much less lessons, tough lessons, restrictions from friends. Neptune's out of there as well, so it might be easier to trust your gut when it comes to people. But certainly, Taurus, if you have opportunities to socialize, to go to events, this is a good time to go and mingle with other people. And maybe you're giving up something as well that was making you happy for a while. It's no longer making you happy. For some of you, that can be ending a romantic connection. If you've been dating someone and you don't think it's going to work out, you don't have that vision for the future, you might end that romantic entanglement. For others of you, if you've been doing something that, yes, you were passionate about, and maybe with Virgo energy, it's health wise, something that you were doing, sports, physical, or even something you were doing that was fun for you through your work, you might change your mind and say, actually, this isn't fun for me anymore. I think I'm going to go do this instead. So let's get you a tarot card, Taurus, and see what we get. Oh, one fell out for you. It is the Four of Coins in reverse. So this is about minimalism, clearing out, getting rid of things that don't work for you. I think you're wanting to release something that maybe is a financial burden, maybe something you were doing, putting money into. Taurus, don't forget that the fifth house, where this lunar eclipse is ruled by Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Mercury also rules your money. So maybe you're reflecting on what you're spending your money on and whether or not you're getting enough joy out of it. That's what I have for you, Taurus, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Gemini, this lunar eclipse is happening in your fourth house, and it's a total lunar eclipse. So, there can be substantial change and transformation happening in your fourth house. And that means that there can be changes when it comes to your home life, your family, the people that you live with, the properties that you have, the way that your home looks, the way that your home feels. Family matters can come to the fore with an eclipse here. So maybe for some of you, there is something being triggered with your family. Maybe there are events happening where emotions are running high, there are changes within the family, and you're maybe having to rearrange some plans with work. With Mercury retrograde up here in the 10th, maybe you're having to rearrange your schedule, your job, your routines when it comes to your career because there are big changes happening in your family, or maybe because you're moving. The fourth house can also be about moving homes. Maybe you're buying a property, selling a property, renovating a property. Maybe you are redecorating a property. And for some of you, it could be because your family is expanding, or there's new roommates, or there's a change in roommates, so you're changing the property. It can be as well because maybe you want a home office. Maybe there have been changes in your career and you want to be able to work from home, or you want to put a gym in your home because you're working on a health or fitness goal. You want a space in your home to work on your goals and do your work, essentially, for some of you, Gemini. So maybe you're changing your home to accommodate your career. It does look with Mercury retrograde in the 10th like you're having to rearrange plans when it comes to your home family dynamics and changes, maybe taking some time off to care for a parent, or you're taking time off to redecorate, or you're going on paternity or maternity leave, something like that, Gemini. There can absolutely be fated changes happening in your home and in your family. This can actually also be, for some of you, Gemini, if you have been estranged from a parent or a family member, you might actually reconnect with someone that you have not been in contact with in your family. Maybe you're establishing a closer relationship with someone where there has been a distance. It can certainly be a time, Gemini, where emotions are running high when it comes to home and family. So you might notice there's a little bit more intensity than usual. And there is the potential for miscommunication because Mercury is retrograde in Pisces and people are feeling more sensitive to energy. People are feeling more sensitive to words, and miscommunication can absolutely hurt feelings. And you might notice that both in your professional life and your private life as well, Gemini. Not to mention that, Mercury is your ruling planet. So retrograde in the 10th, maybe you're reflecting generally on your work, on your career. I wouldn't recommend signing any contracts if you can avoid it. Gemini, obviously life happens and you can't put the world on hold when Mercury is retrograde in the 10th, but more often than not, I find that what actually happens is that decisions do get delayed anyway. Meetings get pushed back. things need more time. And so you often don't sign anything during Mercury retrograde anyway. Just bear in mind that if you are making career moves or changes, this is your time to think. This is your time to reflect. This is your time to reconsider what it is that you're doing professionally as well and how that home work balance is playing out for you, Gemini. Let's get you a tarot card. We have the Justice cards. Maybe for some of you, you are back and forth in a legal decision. Maybe this is about a property. Maybe this is about a career move. Maybe this is about something legal going on in your life. But as I said, Gemini, with Mercury in retrograde until March 20th, there could be a bit of back and forth. And whatever's happening at this time, it's great to remain impartial and it's great to remain as balanced as you can. So make sure that you're trying to find that balance between work life and home life. That's what I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your horoscope for the lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Cancer, this lunar eclipse is happening for you in your third house. And this is one of the busier houses, so there could be a lot of activity happening around the time of this eclipse when it comes to communication, when it comes to doing things, taking classes, going to workshops, studying, reading, taking in information. But there's also this detoxing element because it's a South Node eclipse in Virgo. So, the third house, some of you could be detoxing from your phone. There can absolutely be a change in phone at this time. Maybe you lose a phone, you have to get rid of a phone, you have to upgrade your phone. You're coming to the end of a contract and you're reconsidering whether or not you want to stay or you want to go elsewhere. This could be a time where there is a gadget or technology device in your life that gives out, or a car that gives out, or you have to change one of these, vehicles for transportation. That's in the third, or gadgets for communication. That's also in the third. So there can be changes here. But there can also be a need to detox. So maybe you're taking a little bit of time away from social media. You're trying to break up with your phone, take a break from your phone or something like that. But there can also be important communication coming up at this time, Cancer. An email that changes everything, a phone call that changes everything, a voicemail, whatever the case may be. There can be something very important comes up about communication or as a communication rather. Now this eclipse is ruled by Mercury retrograde in Pisces in your ninth house. So you're having to reflect on the bigger picture here. Whatever information that is coming in, whatever change is occurring, you're trying to see the bigger picture with this information and these changes. Whatever's going on in your life, you're trying, but maybe it's quite difficult to see the bird's eye view. You might be reflecting on your knowledge. You might be reflecting on your education. You might have to bring out the books that you used to study or what you used to read or what you used to learn to help you with whatever communication's coming up here. Or it could just be that there is something that you're really interested in, and maybe it's something that you were once interested in. You're wanting to pick it up again, Cancer. There could be some back and forth about a trip or travel arrangements as well. You could be reflecting on your travel situation, where you want to go, why you want to go there, what trips you're planning to take. If you are traveling during this time, just bear in mind with Mercury retrograde that there can be issues. Documents need to be double checked, times double checked. There can be delays, there can be miscommunication, that type of thing. People still travel during Mercury retrograde, especially when it's in the ninth house. It just means that you have to be aware that issues can happen. You need copies of your passport or your plane gets delayed or something like that. There can be some issues with traveling at the time of this eclipse if you are traveling. I will say it feels like you're really looking to travel with Jupiter in your sign, or you're looking for more information, or you're looking to expand your knowledge. And you're feeling pretty optimistic, I would think, Cancer, a lot of you with Jupiter in your sign, but that's not always the way. Jupiter is a benefic, yes, but it doesn't mean that it feels groovy all the time. I would say if you have the opportunity to take a workshop or a course, like a short course, a teaching opportunity, do take it, because the knowledge that you can get when you have eclipses in the third and the ninth can really sit with you for the rest of your life in a positive way. I remember when I had eclipses in the third and the ninth house, and I went on so many workshops during that time, and I learned so much and I got so much information that I still use today, and that was years ago. So you can really find that if you feel a calling to take workshop, go. because there can be really wonderful people that you meet, people that you learn from. You will learn a lot from communication, conversations with other people at this time, Cancer. So if you feel the call to go on a course or get a certificate or a degree, this can absolutely be a wonderful time to do so. You might be getting a certification or a degree with this lunar eclipse in Virgo. Maybe something health related. Maybe you're getting your Reiki 1 or something like that. Let's get you a tarot card, Cancer. Judgment, hearing the call. I think a lot of you have a big, you have a communication coming at this time that is maybe a literal judgment. With so much in the ninth house, maybe some of you are dealing with legal matters, Cancer. Maybe there is a judgment call, a decision being made, a renewal. You're deciding whether or not to renew a phone contract or a car contract or something like that. You're having some sort of spiritual awakening, maybe for some of you, with so much in the ninth and Jupiter in the first, and that's bringing the need for more information. I think a lot of you have a lot that you want to learn, you want to study, and information that you want to get under this lunar eclipse. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey Leo, welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. Leo, how are you holding up after the solar eclipse in Aquarius? We are now rolling into a series of eclipses in your sign, in your opposite sign, and those can really shake things up. So I'm hoping you're doing okay, Leo. This one is about the continuation of eclipses in Virgo and Pisces, which is your second house, eighth house axis. Your second house, eighth house axis. That was quite a tongue twister. We have a lot going on in your eighth house, and that is to do with transformation. So I think a lot of Leos are going through profound transformations in life. Maybe some of you are dealing with crises as well, with so much happening in the eighth house, especially with Mercury retrograde there now. You're having to reflect on maybe some big decisions, big financial decisions. And this eclipse is surely bringing into the forefront of your mind, Leo, money matters. So when we have a total lunar eclipse in the second house, this can often bring about financial changes over the next 6 months. Some of you could be deciding that you are willing to or have to give up one way of making money, one source of income, or you're changing how you make money. Now, this is in Virgo, so this could be a service that you provide or a role that you fulfill or your job as it is, as you know it. Leo, you could be changing it. You could be wanting to leave it behind. We're dealing with Uranus in the final degrees in your 10th house. Some of you could be wanting more freedom and independence, and you don't want to work where you are, or you don't want to work for someone else. So you could be leaving behind a job and figuring out what you want to do next. This can certainly coincide with financial changes, Leo. And for a lot of you that are in relationships and marriages with the North Node in the eighth house, this is about perhaps depending more on someone else financially, or receiving an inheritance, or receiving money from the government for something, receiving money from other sources. So much happening in the eighth house, and you're reflecting on your joint financial endeavors, taxes, mortgages, loans, partners' money, business partners' money, assets, that type of thing. There's a lot of reflection going on there with Mercury retrograde in the eighth. For some of you, you will absolutely feel this eclipse more in a financial sense, and for others of you, more in terms of a spiritual value. Working through something with a psychologist, a psychotherapist, doing healing work with so much in the eighth, going through a healing crisis, working through patterns, working through shadow work. All of these different things can be coming up with so much in the eighth. Some of you could be grieving. Some of you could have gone through losses or crises in your relationships. Just events may have happened that were quite rattling. So for some of you, you're really reflecting on that and trying to draw a breath. And with the lunar eclipse in Virgo, this can shift what matters to you. Your perspective and your priorities can be shifting at this time, Leo. What matters to you is changing, and you might realize that one thing that you thought mattered a lot doesn't matter so much anymore. So for some of you, financial changes, yes. This can also be that you receive money. This can be that money was owed to you. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe there's a tax rebate coming to you. Maybe you were overcharged for something. Maybe someone left you something in an inheritance. Whatever the case may be, Leo, you could actually be having money returned to you. Or for some of you, it depends on how it interacts with your chart. For some of you, this could just be that you're reflecting on money generally and how you make it, how you spend it, and you're going through a financial shift, a financial change, Leo. Let's get you a tarot card and see what comes up. We have the Three of Wands. So this is all about manifesting. Maybe some of you are manifesting a financial windfall of some kind. The Three of Wands is about focusing on the future and focusing on what you want from the future. A lot of you with so much in the eighth could be maybe reflecting on your fears, on your phobias, on your doubts and your uncertainties, and maybe working through these things. And perhaps you're noticing how certain patterns have played out in your life, and this eclipse is showing you how these patterns are affecting you, how they're changing you, and how you can change those patterns. Lunar eclipses, they can be very emotional. Sometimes I have seen them where even if they are only, even where they are actually hitting a point in your chart exactly, sometimes they can manifest as this deep emotional catharsis where all this stuff, all these feelings come rise to the surface and you release them and you're left kind of cleansed. Virgo is about detoxifying all these habits and practices that are unhealthy, and for you with the financial zone, but also the zone of self-worth and what matters to you, you could be going through a very profound shift that actually helps you level up, Leo. Let's not forget that Jupiter is going to move into your first house in the summer, and that's really your time to grow and expand. So that's what I have for you, Leo, and I will talk to you soon. Hi, Virgo. Welcome to the total lunar eclipse in your sign. Virgo, you're the star of the show this time around. And this is quite an eclipse because it's a total lunar eclipse and it's happening in your first house. This is you. So, especially if you have your ascendant at 10, 11, 12, 13 degrees, 14 degrees of Virgo, you're going to be feeling this in quite a profound way. But if you're a Virgo ascendant generally, or you have your sun, your moon, any placement at 11, 12, 13 degrees of Virgo, you're absolutely going to be feeling this one in a big way and in a very personal way. So, when we have a total lunar eclipse in the first house, this can actually bring a complete change in how you look, how you show up to the world, how you feel about the world, the way you approach life. And it can be a complete rebranding for you. It can be a glow up, it can be an image change, and it can just be about reconnecting with yourself in a very deeply profound manner, Virgo, because the South Node, from what I've studied as an astrologer, what I've seen it manifest as for many people, it's about reconnection. And when it's going through your first house, reconnection with the self, who you truly are, being honest about who you are. It can be a time where someone ditches the extensions, someone stops wearing fake tan, someone stops dressing in a way that they think would impress somebody else and they start dressing in the way that they used to dress that feels more like themselves. They go back to their natural hair color, whatever the case may be. It doesn't have to be as literal to that. It can be felt emotionally and spiritually, this reconnection to self. And a lot of you could have been over the last year and a half reflecting on who you are and who you want to be. And this lunar eclipse is about those changes. So for some of you, yes, it can be about changing how you style yourself, how you look, how you present. For others of you, it can be about changing how you show up to the world. And for a lot of you, it's a very profound sense of self because there's been changes in your relationships. The dispositor, your ruler Mercury, is here retrograde in your seventh house of partnerships. So maybe with the eclipses happening on the first, seventh axis, there has been a change in relationship status. Maybe you came out of a relationship, maybe you got married, maybe you entered a serious relationship, maybe you lost a relationship. There can be very significant events happening when it comes to your close partnership connections, Virgo. And you're reflecting on these changes. You're reflecting on who you are when it comes to your relationships, who you are in your relationships, whether romantic, business, friendship, what type of presence you bring to a connection, what kind of value you bring to a connection, and what you get back from connection. So you're kind of reflecting on the new you because of changes in your relationship status or changes within your relationship dynamics, or just simply realizations about your relationships and your relationship dynamics, Virgo. So I think for a lot of you, you're wondering now under this lunar eclipse, or you're seeing now under this lunar eclipse, who you are, who you've become, and what version of yourself you're stepping into. Now, it is in a very nice supportive aspect here to Jupiter in the 11th. Jupiter is exalted in the 11th. And this is about finding friendship, being supported by friends, allowing your friends to support you, allowing teams and groups and communities of people to support you as you change, as your life changes, or to help you with finding your style, finding your, I don't want to say finding your new self because it feels more so like you're connecting to your true self rather than your new self, if that makes sense, Virgo. So I really feel for a lot of you that you're going through very profound shifts and changes at this time, very much through the lens of how your relationships are doing, how they're going, how they're shifting, and how they're evolving with this total lunar eclipse. And for those of you that are single, you could reconnect with someone as well with Mercury retrograde in the 7th. You could reconnect with an ex, you could reconnect with a past partner or someone in your life who comes back to be a partner this time around. You can certainly reconnect with people that you were very close to at this time, Virgo, as well. Let's get you a tarot card for this lunar eclipse. Oh, we have the Two of Cups. This is about connection. So, whether it's a romantic connection that is blossoming at this time or deepening, or you're connecting with somebody in that way, or whether it's a really close friendship. I feel like close connection is very much on your mind as you go through changes. Your identity might be changing because you got married or because you got divorced or whatever the case may be. There is a close partnership on your mind or a connection very much on your mind at this time, Virgo, that you're really reflecting on and you're thinking about quite a lot. So, for a lot of you, this eclipse can bring up your feelings about who you are, whether within a partnership or without a partnership, and how the two are interlinked. That's what I have for you, Virgo, and I'll talk to you soon. Libra, welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Libra, this total lunar eclipse is happening here in your 12th house. Look after your mental health. When we have a total lunar eclipse in the 12th house, this is where a person tends to need a bit more rest. They need some downtime. They need some time alone. They need some time to recuperate, to retreat. For some of you, maybe that is because you're spending time in a hospital or you're having something done health wise, or you're on a retreat, or you just need some time alone. This lunar eclipse can really be a time for you, Libra, where you need some downtime. You need to release some stress. When we have a lunar eclipse in the 12th house, our dreams are more vivid. They're sometimes quite bizarre, they're very symbolic. You can dream about people from the past, experiences from the past. You can even reconnect with people from the past when there is a lunar eclipse in the 12th house as well. There can be some sort of an ending in your life, Libra, also when there's a lunar eclipse here, especially a total lunar eclipse, and especially with the South Node. Maybe something is being released or changed at this time. For some of you, that could be a habit. It could be a self-sabotaging habit. It could be an addiction. It could be a coping mechanism, something that has become unhealthy with this being a lunar eclipse in Virgo, something that's been unhealthy because the dispositor Mercury is retrograde in your 6th house of how you take care of your physical body and how you work and how you do your job. So maybe there are changes happening at work and maybe it's been very busy, very chaotic, and you're having to take some time off. Or maybe you're reflecting on your job generally and you're thinking you need a break or you want to leave a job, or there's so much here happening in the sick that it could be really very busy at your workplace or with your work, your day-to-day practices. Or maybe you're feeling this call, Libra, to do it differently when it comes to how you eat, how you exercise, how you take care of your health, how you manage your body, that type of thing. With Mars going through the 6th house, with so much going through the 6th house at the time of this eclipse highlights the balance between your emotional mental health and your physical body. So, how they are connected. And I think for a lot of you, Libra, you could absolutely be releasing a habit or a coping mechanism, something that is not healthy anymore, something that doesn't work for you anymore, something that's holding you back. For some of you, it could be a job change. You could be going through some sort of shift with your job. And with Mercury being in retrograde, maybe you're returning to an old role or you're reconnecting with people from your work or you're networking with people you used to work with because you want to change your job or something of that nature. I certainly feel with so much in the sick that can be very busy and a person can burn out. So you may need to take some downtime. Maybe that's just getting an hour a day to go off on your own to the gym or to go out for a walk in nature. You know, Virgo 12th house loves nature. So maybe you feel like you need to spend some time in the woods, or, you know, walking through the fields, whatever it is that helps you feel more grounded when things can feel a little bit chaotic. There can absolutely be something coming up in a mental health perspective, Libra. Maybe that's because of stress about work or your job or something going on health wise. There can be a need to take better care of your mental health when we have this eclipse here. So just make sure that you are absolutely watching that and maybe getting support at work if that's what you need. Your ruler Venus is in the sixth house, so you may be very invested in your work and your working relationships and wanting to keep a positive, a positive relational attitude to your work. You might really want to be seen a certain way, but this can also lead to feeling exhausted. So if you need to take time off, Libra, do it. Let's get you a tarot card for this lunar eclipse. We have the sun. So this is all about your energy levels and feeling optimistic and taking care of your health and vitality, Libra. So the message is quite clear here. Make sure that you're taking care of your health and well-being. Make sure with the lunar eclipse in the 12th that you're trying to stay positive. You know, this is in a nice sextile to Jupiter in the 10th house. So the hard work that you're doing is likely not in vain. You are likely going to have big career wins where you've been putting in the effort. So it wouldn't hurt to have some downtime too. You can still expand your career and your job and have time off. That is what I have for you, Libra, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Scorpio, this eclipse is happening in your 11th house, and this is all about your friendships and your social connections, the teams that you are a part of, the groups that you're a part of, the charities that you work for, the causes that you invest in. All of these things fall under the 11th house. So, this is where you can absolutely see big changes and fated events. Maybe for some of you with the South Node here, you're reconnecting with an old friend. Maybe you're reconnecting with a group of friends, a team of people, or reconnecting with someone that you used to socialize with, that you used to have fun with. This can absolutely bring some sort of reconciliation with a friendship or returning to a group or a team. But it can equally also be, Scorpio, that you realize it's time to leave one of those things behind. Maybe a friendship is coming to an end. Maybe it's coming to a natural close. Maybe you feel yourself drifting from a group that once mattered a lot to you. And maybe this is because with Mercury retrograde in the fifth, maybe you have children now, you're a parent now, or you don't find what that group does for fun anymore. Maybe you're moving away from friendships where you feel like the love isn't there anymore. It's not a good time. It's not fun. You don't have the same wants for the world. You don't have the same wants for life. There can be just differences there sometimes that are impossible to overcome. But for a lot of you, it can also be that you're reconnecting with friends and you're realizing that you really do still love these people or that you do still have a lot of fun together. Maybe you're moving away from a friendship because it's becoming a romantic relationship or something like that, with the connection between the 11th and the 5th as well. We do have so much happening here for you, Scorpio, in your 5th house. So love, romance, happiness, what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what brings you pleasure, all very much highlighted at this time. And maybe you find yourself reflecting on what it is that truly does make you happy, and that's extending to your relationships. So, with Mercury retrograde here in the 5th house, you could be reflecting on what makes you happy, what brings you joy. There can be miscommunications or a lot of activity with your children if you have them. There can be a lot going on in their lives, and maybe you're having to pull away socially a little bit, or you're realizing that you've pulled away too much socially and you want to go catch up with your friends or reconnect with your buddies. Maybe it's also that you've been in a love bubble. Maybe you've been dating somebody and you're realizing that you're completely off balance with your friendships and your social connections, and you're wanting to bring that balance back by reconnecting with your friendships at this time, Scorpio. But it can bring fated changes with your social connections. Old friends come back into your life. You could be leaving current friendships or groups or teams behind. There can be people coming and going from groups, teams that you're a part of. Someone could leave your say you work in a team, someone could leave because they're going elsewhere. And this could be someone that you thought would be a fixture there for a long time. But I think generally, Scorpio, whatever's going on, you're looking at it through the lens of, does this still make me happy? Does this person make me happy? Do I feel joy in this connection? Do I feel love in this connection? That type of analysis can be going on. It can certainly be a lot going on with your children. It can be a bit more tension with kids with Mars in this sector and Mercury in retrograde, misunderstandings with children as well. But this lunar eclipse is highlighting your social life. So like Taurus rising, Scorpio, you may have more opportunities to go out there and socialize and mingle and connect with people and reconnect with people and be a social butterfly with a lunar eclipse in the 11th. It can actually also be where you connect with someone and you feel like you've known them forever in a friendship capacity. You know, it's a soul sister, or you just find this person completely familiar. It can also be that you're watching events unfold in the lives of your friends that are quite significant or fated, also, Scorpio. Let's get you a tarot card. We have the moon, so secrets can be coming out for you under this lunar eclipse. Maybe about your friends, maybe about teams, social groups, groups that you're a part of. There can be scandals come out. There can be information that you did not know come out. And this could, with the 11th house, maybe change your vision for the future, change what you want to be doing, who you want to be socializing with, and who you want to be connecting with, because maybe you realize that all was not as it seemed. The moon tends to bring things to the surface. For some of you with Mercury retrograde in the fifth house, you might learn that a friend has secret feelings for you or secret attractions to you, or you might be sharing that with someone else. That's what I have for you, Scorpio, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Sagittarius, this one is happening in your 10th house. And this is an angular house for you, so you'll really be feeling this one. This is about your public image. It's what you're known for. It's how visible you are. It's what you do professionally or what you did professionally, the titles that you have, how people would describe you on the news. It can be also to do with your higher ups or people in a position of authority. So, for a lot of you, total lunar eclipse, there can be a complete change in your career. Now, bear in mind, some of you will already have experienced this. We've had eclipses in Virgo and Pisces since September 2024, and the nodes shifted into these signs in January 2025. So it's likely for a lot of you, you've already gone through some sort of substantial change when it comes to your career. But for those of you that have not, this can be where that change occurs over the next 6 months. There can be a job shift, a title change. There can be more recognition. There can be promotion. There can be leaving a job, leaving an organization, restructuring, reorganizing within an organization. Maybe your boss leaves and that gives you an opportunity to step into their role. Maybe you leave one industry and enter another one altogether. Whatever the case may be, Sagittarius, it depends on your birth chart. But I do feel with Jupiter, your ruler in the 8th house, exalted in Cancer, sextiling this lunar eclipse, you're feeling inspired to make changes. You know, even if you were a creature of habit, you would be inspired to make some sort of a change in your life with Jupiter going through the 8th. So, for a lot of you, you could be making these changes yourself, but eclipses do tend to bring fated events. So, there may be an opportunity over the next 6 months to change jobs, to change professions, to reroute. The South Node can actually reconnect you with people from the past professionally, or reconnect you with old opportunities. Or if you were to move job, there could be people there that you've worked with before, or people that you even have past lives with before. There's a familiarity. So there can be something sort of familiar about any job changes that are going on. But there can be fated changes. Now, that being said, for you, Sagittarius, the dispositor, Mercury, is down here in retrograde in your 4th house, and it has a lot of company, as you can see. Your 4th house is pretty active, and this is the family sector. So there can be a lot going on with home and family at the moment that takes your attention. Mars is there. Sometimes Mars being in the 4th house, especially coinciding with a Mercury retrograde, there can be miscommunications with family members, or about living situations, or some frustrations in the home. And when we have eclipses activating the 10th and the 4th, there can be a need to balance home and family life with career. So that might be a bit of a tug of war for you over the next 6 months with these eclipses. But I think you're reflecting on how your family life, your home life balances with your career. And you could be making changes to one to accommodate the other. So you're reflecting on your home. Maybe some of you are thinking, is this a working environment? Maybe you have a working from home arrangement and you're thinking, is this office really working for me? Can I change this? Should I change this? Or should I get a home office? Or should I move to be closer to work? Or should I work from home full time? Or should I start a home business? There can be a connection between your home and your work, and you may be reflecting on what works best for you, Sagittarius. Maybe you are thinking of upgrading your home office or moving to be closer to your career or changing your working from home, remote working situation balance. More could be required of you in your career over the next 6 months. Maybe you're stepping into a higher position and you're wondering what that means for your home life and your family life. There's certainly a lot going on there for you in the fourth house. So, home, family, roommates, they all can be very active in your life at this time. And there can be miscommunications with Mercury retrograde, but there can also be some sort of fated changes happening in your career. Now, this can also bring up changes with parents. So there could be something going on with a parent and you're having to go back and forth to a parent or communicate with a parent back and forth with Mercury retrograde there as well. It also can be a bit harder to understand your boss at this time. So if you have a superior or someone that you report to, this can be quite difficult for communication. There could be a little bit of a crisis of communication and misunderstanding going on in your career. Whether it involves you directly or not depends on your chart. But you may also just generally find that there are more mishaps when it comes to your career with communication because Mercury does rule your career zone, Sagittarius, and it's retrograde in Pisces. So what people say and what they mean is anyone's guess. Follow your intuition. We have the Knight of Swords. Interesting. I think you're maybe considering taking a risk when it comes to your career, or you're wanting to be more daring, or you're wanting to take initiative, or you're wanting to clean things up. Maybe there's something in your work that needs to be revised, needs to be looked at again, and you need to really clean something up, whatever that means for you, Sagittarius. There might be something that you have to take the initiative toward in the workplace. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Capricorn, welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. Capricorn, this lunar eclipse is happening up here in your ninth house. And when we have a total lunar eclipse in the ninth house, this can coincide with periods of travel. So maybe for some of you, there is a big trip on the horizon. There's maybe some changes to your travel arrangements, or you're either traveling at the time of this eclipse or you're planning to travel. Mercury is retrograde in the third house, so you might be researching where you want to go, reflecting on why you want to go there, getting the right documentations. There could be something coming up with visas or travel permits that you're working on at this time, Virgo, with this ninth house, third house, or Virgo, Capricorn. Sorry, the lunar eclipse is in Virgo. Something that you're working on when it comes to travel or when it comes to long distance with this lunar eclipse happening in the ninth. So for a lot of you, this can be about visas, travel permits, passports. Lunar eclipses in the ninth house can sometimes come up when, oh, look, I need to get my passport renewed, or I need to go to the embassy or something like that. So that could be something that's coming up for some of you, Capricorn. Making travel arrangements, reflecting on travel plans. Some of you might need to travel last minute and unexpectedly as well with Mercury retrograde here in the third. It could also be about driving license. So make sure that all your documents are up to date. Capricorn, that can be having your car insured, car tax, MOT, all of these different things can come up with this total lunar eclipse. So when we have a total lunar eclipse in the ninth house as well, it can actually trigger a bit of a crisis of faith. You could be really re-examining your relationship to faith, especially because Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, reconnecting with your belief system. Some of you could, if you have drifted away from a particular set of beliefs or a spiritual system or a religious system, you could actually be reconnecting with it at this time, Capricorn, or your relationship to faith could be shifting quite substantially with this total lunar eclipse. Some of you could also be graduating. You could be getting a certificate, a degree, a diploma, a master's. Lunar eclipses in the ninth house can oftentimes bring changes in education. So, with so much happening here in your third house, your house of siblings, of neighbors, of cousins is very active here. So, there can be a lot going on with these individuals in your life, Capricorn. And with Mercury retrograde here, old issues could come up. There could be misunderstandings with these people. There could be a need to reconnect or communicate with these people. And it's maybe changing your perspective on something. Maybe people are talking to you and it's changing your viewpoint on the world. This can also bring up matters pertaining to your car, to your commute. With so much happening in the third house and with Mercury retrograde here, maybe you're reflecting generally on how your car is working out for you, or it could be to do with phones, gadgets. You're coming to the end of a contract and you're wondering if you should renew. Those type of things and questions can be coming up. Just remember, Mercury is retrograde until the 20th of March. So if you're getting a new phone or a new car or signing anything, please wait until after that period. Mercury retrograde, especially Mercury retrograde in Pisces, can bring scammers out of the woodwork. So just be mindful of who you're talking to at this time, who you're sharing secrets with, Capricorn, because they might actually not be so solid for keeping them. And the information might not necessarily be true. Might not be an outright lie either, but there can be some issues going on, especially because just generally at the heart of the matter, Mercury retrograde can bring miscommunication. So if you are dealing with important conversations, contracts, negotiations, double check everything, get a second opinion, get a third opinion, fourth, five, six, seven, however many opinions. And if you can postpone signing anything or being completely tied into your contract or agreement until after the 20th, that would be great, Capricorn. Let's get you a tarot card. We have the Devil card. This is interesting because it's actually your card. The Devil represents Capricorn in the tarot. And Saturn, your ruling planet, is in that once in a 36-year conjunction to Neptune. So I'm curious about how you guys are feeling. Maybe with Neptune conjunct Saturn, you're feeling like you want to escape something. Maybe something is playing on a loop in your mind. Maybe you can't stop thinking about something. Maybe you feel very obsessed with something. And with the eclipse happening on your axis of thought and belief, maybe you're trying to release a toxic pattern when it comes to thinking, when it comes to beliefs. The ninth house is all about our perspectives. I also think some of you could be receiving exam results at this time, or you could be receiving information about higher education and study as well. I forgot to mention that at the start. So, this eclipse over the next 6 months could bring changes to your university or college experience if you're studying too. You could be reflecting on what it is that you actually want to study. I do think for a lot of you with Saturn in Aries conjunct Neptune in the fourth house, some of you could be really feeling very confused about what you want when it comes to home, family, or foundational matters. So I would suggest Capricorn taking this Mercury retrograde period to just reconnect with your mind and how you think and how you process information. Do a lot of journaling. Do a lot of shadow work if you can, because that devil card is indicating to me that maybe there is some sort of thought loop or way of thinking or way of processing information that needs to change. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Aquarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Aquarius, this total lunar eclipse is happening in your eighth house, and the dispositor of this eclipse is Mercury retrograde in your second house. So, this eclipse is very much highlighting financial matters, Aquarius. Total lunar eclipse in the eighth house. This can bring changes over the next 6 months, as long as the next 6 months, when it comes to your joint financial relationships. So there could be changes in the money that your spouse earns, in the money that you receive from an organization or the government, or the taxes that you pay, or the inheritance that you receive. There can be changes when it comes to other people's money, Aquarius. And that can be because you're getting married or you're getting divorced or there's child support or whatever the case may be. There can be changes in terms of joint financial relationships, especially because you do have eclipses happening on the first and seventh house axis. So your relationships may be changing and this may change your joint financial connections. So for a lot of you, this can bring up conversations about inheritance. This can bring about conversations about your partner's money, your mortgage. There can be changes in interest rates and things like that. Big financial changes with a lunar eclipse in the eighth house. And with the eighth house, sometimes this is about releasing a particular source of income or wanting to clean something up. So for some of you, that could actually be that you're wanting to get more financially healthy. You're working on your credit score, you're paying off debt, you're paying off loans, that type of thing, Aquarius. But with Mercury retrograde in the second house and with a lot of company here, we've Mars, we've the North Node, we've the Sun, we've Mercury retrograde, we've Venus, so much in your sector of money. You're maybe reflecting with Mercury retrograde here on the money that you make, the money that you spend, and maybe with Mars here, you're feeling more motivated to make money or even to spend money. Yes, with Mars as well. But there can absolutely be a general reflection for you, Aquarius, on your finances. And there can be changes going on with your finances. And it's interesting for you now because Neptune was in your financial sector from 2011 to 2026. And Saturn was there over the last 3 years, having recently exited your second house. So now you have the inner planets, yes, but you also have the North Node. So for some of you, there could be new ways of making money open up to you over the next 6 months. And maybe you then don't require some sort of financial assistance, or maybe this changes your tax bracket or something like that, Aquarius. Definitely could be an eclipse that triggers financial changes in your life. And I think for a lot of you, you're really going through your financial statements or reflecting on the money that you make and maybe wanting to make substantial changes. So let's get you a tarot card, Aquarius. You have the Queen of Swords. So this is about being discerning and being logical and being realistic. Very you. The Queen of Swords is an Aquarius card. So maybe you're cutting some things out of your spending. Maybe you're being a little bit more strategic with your money, more direct. And there could be a lot of communication and conversations coming up about your finances at this time, Aquarius. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Pisces, welcome to your horoscope for the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So, Pisces, this is a big one for you because it's happening in your opposite sign. It's happening in your seventh house. And the seventh house is about relationships and connections. So, it's a total lunar eclipse. There could be a complete change when it comes to a particular connection in your life or when it comes to how you relate generally. So, for a lot of you, with the South Node being here, this could be that you're releasing some sort of habit that maybe you feel has become quite toxic when it comes to relationships. So, a certain way of being in your connections, a certain way of behaving in your partnerships, the way that you choose partners, you could really be going through quite a cathartic cleanse here, Pisces, by reflecting on your own behavior. We've Mercury retrograde here in the first house. You might be thinking, okay, well, when I communicate, this is how I do it. And when I communicate my expectations, this is what I say. And you might be thinking, well, actually, maybe if I didn't say it like that, or I wish I hadn't said it like that, or I wish I didn't think this way about it. Thinking this way about it is not healthy. So you could be reflecting on your own mindset and your own approach to relationships, Pisces. And you could be deciding that you want to do things differently because you want to have different types of relationships. And so you're reflecting generally on your approach within these relationships, especially when it comes to communication and how you communicate your own needs, wants, thoughts, and feelings, and what you're hearing from other people. You know, Neptune is out of your sign, and Neptune was in your sign until 2011, which can be very fantastical, not very realistic at times. But you had Saturn there for the last 3 years, getting better boundaries, being more dedicated to yourself and showing up for yourself and being responsible. And that's all shifted you and how you relate to others. So, for a lot of you Pisces, this could be an eclipse where you are cleansing yourself of some sort of habit when it comes to relationships or relating to others more generally. You're ready to let it go. You're ready to close a particular cycle. With it being a South Node eclipse and a total lunar eclipse, maybe for some of you, you've been thinking and you're thinking, actually, do you know what? I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I don't think this is healthy. I don't think this is working for me. And you might be deciding to walk away. It's very likely with Mercury in your first house that you're the one who's been thinking. You're the one that's reflecting and saying, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't working for me. For others of you that are in committed relationships where you're really thinking about how happy you are and how fulfilled you are, this can bring engagements, marriages. This can bring moving in together, perhaps. It can certainly bring a level up with your relationship. And so the relationship as you knew it is changing, or the way that it was is gone. Maybe for some of you with that sextile to Jupiter in the fifth house, you are having children together and that's changing the relationship at its core. For others of you that are single, this can actually be that you reconnect with someone from the past. A total lunar eclipse in the seventh house can completely change your relationship status. So if you're single, you may go from being single into a partnership. And it does feel with Mercury retrograde here in the first that maybe someone from the past contacts you. It could be someone that you were in a relationship with before, or it could be someone that you weren't in a relationship before. With that sextile to Jupiter, maybe someone that you dated before, or you had a crush on before, or you had some kind of romantic interest or flirtation. They could come back around and you could decide that you want to form a partnership, you want to form a union. So you could be going from single to partnered, partnered to married, married to divorced. You could be going through a substantial relationship shift, Pisces. But it can actually also be that none of that is the case. If you're in a relationship, maybe your partner is going through some sort of substantial change in their life and you're reconsidering your approach because you want to support them. You could be witnessing events happening in your partner's life, and then that's changing yours in turn and how you communicate and how you show up to the relationship. But I do feel for a lot of you with this sextile between the seventh and the fifth, it feels like there's love here. So this could be a time where you do get engaged or you do reconnect with a soulmate or something like that, Pisces. So let's get you a tarot card, Pisces, and see what you get for this total lunar eclipse in Virgo. We have the Three of Pentacles. This is about collaboration. So maybe for some of you, there is some sort of substantial change going on with a coworker in your life or someone that you work with. A working relationship might change. There could be changes within your workplace, or this could be where those relationship changes are occurring with the Three of Pentacles with you and someone else. That's what I have for you, Pisces, and I'll talk to you soon.